our study of the Book of Manifesting. And I am Ahonu, and this is my lovely Aingeal Rose, the author of this work. So last week in the first session, we covered what we will cover and the introduction and all of that. So by now you should have some idea of what to expect. And today we're going to go into the way we attain beliefs. Thought is creative and desires pushed through into action. Do you want to say anything about that, Aingeal Rose, before we begin?
No, just as a reminder that I can't remember anything now. Okay. Just hope you'll join us. Just start. I got too tired, I'm telling you. And you said it perfectly anyway.
So let us begin with the way we attain beliefs. We attain beliefs by the power of association. Association means we come to conclusions about the experiences in our lives, and we end up with a mental program that says something like this: A equals B. And this is how we attain beliefs. Here's an example. Suppose you were one of the unfortunate babies that were held upside down and spanked by the doctor when you were born. This was supposed to get your lungs going by making you cry. However, that may not have been the conclusion that you came to from this experience. You could have come away with the conclusion that life hurts. Or how about men hurt me? If the doctor was a man. If your doctor was a woman, you could have come away with the conclusion that women hurt me. Since your subconscious says yes to whatever you think and believe, it will now manifest reflections of your programs in your 3D world, such as life hurts me, men hurt me, or women hurt me. These now set the stage for your experiences in life. It will make sure you always get hurt in one way or another, either by life itself or by men or women. Your subconscious keeps the program running until you tell it something different. Since the program is in your subconscious, you may never be aware that it exists. If you weren't reading this book or taking this short course, you might never find that this part of your mind is dictating your experiences. You might never know how much of a creator you really are, and that you are still a creator. You might feel helpless throughout your life to ever change your situation and never understand why you keep experiencing pain. Consider, since the moment you were born, or even before, you have been having experiences. You've been making conclusions about those experiences all along, for positive or negative. You've been programming your subconscious mind through your own associations, as well as what you have been told to believe. You have cultural beliefs, educational beliefs, financial beliefs, legal beliefs, parental beliefs, religious beliefs, world and historical beliefs, and other types of indoctrination from friends or authority figures. Now, before we go on, Aingeal Rose, I think that is such a powerful realization, and in reading it back, I feel the power of it, because it's easy to forget these things. And I know in my own situation, coming from Holy Catholic Ireland and growing up and wanting to be a priest and all of that good stuff, the power of the indoctrination is so huge. And I know even in that experience, there's the religious beliefs, there's the cultural beliefs, there's the educational beliefs, and all of that is all wrapped up in who I think I am. And I have since realized that a lot of that was totally untrue, and that I took it on board as my own identity. And it's a really powerful thing. So what we're setting out to do here, Aingeal Rose, is to change those preconceived beliefs that we now realize are false about ourselves and who we think we are and the world and what we think it is. Sorry about that short little lecture there. You have beliefs that you have carried with you from other lifetimes. This has made up the collection of your personality and your view of reality. In other words, your perceptions and even your emotions come from your beliefs. You may find it hard to accept that your experiences in life have everything to do with you. I didn't believe it at first either. I thought there was no way that the things I went through in my life could have been because of my own beliefs. How could I have been a co-creator of such painful and abusive scenarios? I had no problem accepting the positive things that happened in my life, but I had a problem accepting the tragic experiences. Yet, every time I inquired about my beliefs into a given situation, I found a common denominator. I found a belief connected to it every time. Sometimes it would be like a videotape rewinding back to an event or a time when I was thinking, deciding, or coming to some conclusion about myself, a situation, or someone else. Believe it or not, after years of exploring my beliefs through what I'm sharing with you now, the journey became fun. I found the content of my belief system so interesting that I no longer worried about getting to the end. You know, the end that everybody wants to get to, the mastery, the enlightenment. Furthermore, I no longer perceived myself as a victim. I found that self-discovery was amazing. No matter what I discovered about my beliefs, whether positive or negative, I was fascinated with the conclusions I came to about life. These conclusions were everywhere. People, places, things, events. And I'm not just talking about the impact of conclusions and associations in this life. I'm also including those that I brought with me from other lives. We are eternally creating in the present and into the future. That bears a little bit of discussion too, Aingeal Rose, in terms of how powerful we really are. Mm-hmm. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't realize that we are eternally creating into the future too. And a lot of times, and I know this from my own experience, that we can blame our circumstances, not realizing it's exactly what we created.
Well, what that also means is that if you never locate your beliefs, if you never inquire into them, then the conclusion that you've come to will just naturally carry on into the future. It's like history repeating itself.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's just the way it works, because it's a program.
Yeah. And then we wonder why we're continuing to suffer.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. As long as there is a lingering emotional connection to experiences, you will come to conclusions and make decisions about those experiences, all of which add to your collection of beliefs and expectations. What do I mean by that? It is the emotional energy you feel during an experience that creates the power of association. It's this energy that fuels your conclusions about your experiences, which lead to your beliefs, and that becomes a program. If these emotions are pleasurable, you create a positive association. If the feelings are negative, sad, or fearful, you create negative associations. This means you now have a program running, and every time you come up against a similar experience in your life, you will replicate the same outcome. That is, until you become consciously aware of the program and change it by writing a new script. You'll shortly learn how to write a new script. That's one of the most powerful parts of this book, the book of manifesting, is when Aingeal Rose teaches you how to write a new script. And I remember at first thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be a very difficult exercise. And it actually isn't that difficult at all. And indeed, as Aingeal Rose has said, it can be a lot of fun, and it is very creative. Thought is creative. In the last chapter, you learned the many ways you attain beliefs. In this chapter, you will discover how thought is creative. You will see the connection immediately between your thoughts and desires and what you experience in your outer world. When studying books on the power of the mind, inevitably you will see a common thread working through all the teachings in mystical books or studies in consciousness. Whether old or new, they all point to a basic principle that thought is creative. This means that every thought you think takes form or shape on some level of reality. It also means that whatever you can imagine can come into being. The universe is filled with an intelligence that responds to every thought and desire. In other words, creation reacts to you, your thinking, and your desires. I've gone through periods in my life when I wasn't sure I had permission to deliberately imagine. You just kicked the phone.
Sorry.
I've gone through periods in my life when I wasn't sure I had permission to deliberately imagine the way I wanted something to be. Wasn't that disobeying the rules? The old religious or parental dogma that said, "Who do you think you are? Did you work for that? What makes you think you can imagine or declare something into being without exerting effort? What makes you think you deserve to have it so easy? What makes you different from anyone else?" And these are the kinds of questions actually that would come from our parents. I remember my parents saying this kind of stuff too. And even when we talk about money, money doesn't grow on trees. You know that one? You know, so this this is pretty powerful. I struggled with these beliefs and projections from others. They'd resurface periodically, testing me to see if I had overcome them. Sometimes I made great progress. Other times I still had deep programming to do. Old programming creates old habits and addictions. However, the good news is it can all be undone. Why? Because you are your own genie in a bottle. The genie that is you is how you were made. We all have this creative ability within us. It's the way things work. Our thoughts are creative, and this is always true. Even when you're not conscious of what your thoughts are creating, the process is still happening. In this way, you create positively as well as negatively, depending on your thoughts. Believe it or not, these principles also apply to your dream life. While lucid dreaming is outside the scope of this book, you can be conscious while dreaming, and you can direct the flow and outcome of a dream. I want you to get a handle on how freeing this is. It may seem like a daunting task to explore the content of your beliefs and to rewrite your own scripts. But once you see the results manifesting, you will be convinced of your ability to change your life. With practice, you will move from the need to write and rewrite to observing your thought processes in the moment as they are happening. And when you become a conscious watcher, you can change your mind and thoughts in the moment, directing them towards more positive outcomes. You will understand the power of your decisions. Now, in this next section, we're going to look quickly at how these desires push through into action. And this might seem heavy in terms of the text that we're going through, but really what we're doing here is we're setting the stage. And Aingeal Rose has set it up this way purposely so that when we do go into locating your beliefs and rewriting your script, you will have a total understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it and what the outcome is. So do bear with us while we go through just one more chapter in this section, and it is actually very short. This is desires pushed through into action. Why is it some desires and thoughts don't seem to manifest in your 3D reality while others do? All thoughts and desires take form or shape on subtler levels, but sometimes they don't manifest in your material world. Why? Now this one was a touch point for me, I have to tell you, because I've often told Aingeal Rose the story of when I was young and very much into Napoleon Hill's books and about manifesting your reality. And I remember desiring and creating in my mind with all the emotion I could muster a bicycle for myself. We couldn't afford one as a family, and I decided I was going to manifest one. And I was just a young schoolboy at the time, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. Now, what I didn't know at the time was I didn't know how to rewrite my scripts, because clearly I was going from the point of view that we couldn't afford it, and that's why it wasn't manifesting. But I remember at the time being very frustrated at the whole process and saying, this doesn't work. Well, lo and behold, like Aingeal Rose has said, our thoughts and desires are creative and are manifesting all the time. When I got married and had 3 children, I had more bicycles than I knew what to do with. And it's like as if it took that period of time to overcome the previous preconceived beliefs I had for the manifestations to work. And then they came in abundance. So it's just an example. And we will be looking at timing, by the way, when we go through this. Sometimes it has to do with what you focus on and how clear your beliefs have become. Another reason can be that you may have made a soul plan to experience certain things at a given point in your life. This would be something you decided before you were born. This becomes a soul contract that you set up for yourself to get certain things done while you're here, or clear karmic imprints. Your serendipitous experiences are also held in your soul contract. It may not seem to make sense that you could choose before birth to experience particular things while here, especially if they're negative or painful. But we are all on our own unique soul path of awakening and evolution. And sometimes it's a not so nice experience that awakens us or teaches us compassion and forgiveness. Now we could go into all kinds of discussions about that too, but
that's later.
That is later indeed, yeah. But really where that impacted me was I realized that the negative things that can happen in your life can be the greatest teachers of all times when you see them, when you recognize them. And that's what this is all about. It doesn't always have to be this way, of course. The more conscious you become, the more you grow and evolve from joyful experiences. There comes a point when becoming conscious allows you to see your life lessons and do what's required to advance. Your desires manifest more rapidly, and your power as a conscious creator increases. Desires are a type of emotional propulsion. The stronger the desire, the more power it contains. This is true for both positive and negative desires. So now that you understand how desires push through into action, you will soon examine your thoughts and desires and look at your motivations behind them so that you can discern what is actually for your highest good. Okay, that does bring us to the end of this little session today. So what can we expect going forward, Aingeal Rose?
Well, next week we're going to be discussing how you locate your beliefs. Yes. How do you find them, in other words? And then we're going to talk about the resistance you may have about doing this work.
Yeah, and we will be doing some exercises.
And we will be doing some exercise, so make sure you bring a notebook and pen next week.
Yeah, and then
we're going to talk about timing, why things manifest quickly and why some things don't manifest quickly.
Super. All right, that's it for this week.
Yes, so hopefully you're having some lights go off by now. Okay. I will talk to you again next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Aingeal Rose and Ahonu on World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world.